The 4ourth mobile touch template, seen here, is a simple piece of plastic you can use to measure and generally inspect your mobile and other small screen devices to tell if they're designed right and if you need to improve them. It's designed to be small enough to fit in your wallet so you can keep it with you all the time. And it comes inside a little Type X sleeve which has guidelines on how to use it and some basic guidelines for sizing and design principles. It also protects it, of course. Basic features are that it's got two little circles here that tell you the minimum and preferred, and bigger is better than that, of course, targets for touch sizes. There's a little hand, and of course it's called a touch template, so it's kind of a giveaway. There's a number of other features, some basic rulers in points, centimeters and inches, some type guidelines, and a few other little bits and pieces here I'll go over very briefly. It's translucent, so you can see through onto the phone screen, but the punch-outs are to make sure you can see exactly what you're aiming at. It is dielectric, as it's called, so if you touch the device through the screen, through the template, when you're on, of course, a capacitive touch device, it'll move. If you don't want that to happen, don't line up the template with the device, but hold it at an angle like this and grab it off to the side. It won't work like a stylus or anything like that and transmit electricity, only when you're directly over the top of it. To use the touch target sizing, line up one of the circles with a target like this pagination indicator. You're not checking to measure the size of the actual target. What you're checking for is what we call interference. So this target is, of course, much smaller than a finger, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you can see a little bit of the other two targets next to it. However, if you go to the smallest possible target, you can't. What that means is this is acceptable. It's not great if you're trying to hit it on a moving train or while walking or don't have the best ability to hit stuff. You might miss and occasionally hit another one. But it's kind of okay still because it's not a catastrophic error. You'll just go back to the other page. You can also use, the other features on here are about measuring things. For example, if you want to know what size this website is using, and you think it's Helvetica or a similar size typeface, you can use this type scale here. You simply line up the type, read through, and say that it's, I actually didn't measure this in advance, somewhere there's 6 or 7 point, without peering at it too much. You can use these mostly for design or for other large sizes, these little ticks along the sides here and here, to measure line spacing. There's only 2 of them. This is 10 point, and you can see here that these are much smaller than 10 point spacing, which makes sense if it's 6 or 7 point size. You can use these things to measure buttons for submission, the minimum suggested button size for major submission buttons. These are much smaller, but if you had an actual button, they'd be that size. The other thing you can do, if you really want to, since it's so convenient and pocket-sized, is use it for prototyping. It's about the size of a screen, so you simply trace around the outside edges, and that's your area that you're going to draw in. It's got enough straight edge size to simply set up an enunciator row, and if you're designing for iPhone, a button bar. To set line spacing, you just use these ticks across the side. Put little marks on your page, and it's symmetrically set up. So, you flip it over, do a few more on this side, and if you're careful, all you have to do is draw between the little lines, and that's your line spacing. Now you write words on top of this. You can also use some of the items, like the button measuring tool, to simply draw buttons on there. Of course, there are better tools than this, but it's another feature to have.